Guys, it is showtime. And guess what? My brother Jesse's not here.
Hi, guys. Sit down.
It's probably better that Jesse's not here. He's going to be here any second now. We're going to cut through everything. A lot of people that are going to watch this video have no idea what we do here. And they're going to say, what the hell do two Jehovah's Witness elders have to do with the reaction video of Katt Williams, Stephen Smith, Jason Whitlock, and what lessons could be learned? Well, we're going to talk about how they're the ones that brought it up. Stephen A. Smith, he brought up the religion aspect, and Katt Williams brought up the other one. And we're going to talk about how this is just a godsend, in my opinion. I mean, 48 million views in less than a week. And that's just on one video. I mean, easily, if you're Black American and you have not seen the Katt Williams video, you've been hiding under a rock. The lessons to be learned here on religious levels, on spiritual levels, really more spiritual, not religious, on a spiritual level, I think to me are just mind-blowing. But we're going to go first with the Stephen A. Smith. The Stephen A. Smith, some of you guys know him. He's he's a reporter for he's a news reporter. Now, here's the point. Stephen A. Smith makes no bones about it. He's a reporter. He's a commentator on sports. But he has his Lex Luthor. He has his arch enemy, which is, in this case, Jason Whitlock. And Jason Whitlock is a journalist. And he considers himself a journalist by trade. Now, like my brother Jesse's probably going to say, Jesse says that, there he is. When's the last time we had journalism, Jesse?
The last time we had journalism, I told you this morning, but I got short.
He's a saber-tooth tiger era.
Oh yeah.
And this guy's trying to bring it back. And there is a conflict. But I'm telling you guys, this is godsend, because we come to realize that what we have is a gift called the First Amendment and the free speech. Not even counting the religious aspect, the freedom of religion. Just the fact that we're able to openly speak, and that is being under attack. And the fact that Stephen Smith and Katt Williams brought in religion and Jehovah's Witness, well, I thank God even more, because I'm able to jump in on this and say, hey, I have a reason to talk about it. So let's go, man, Jesse, because this is too much and too fast. Let's just go.
How I feel about it. I'm a sports reporter and sports commentator. That is what I have been throughout my career. It is my responsibility to tell you what I see through my lens, how I feel about it, what my perspective is, etc. Mr. A.R. Bernard said, I'm not happy about it, but every now and then we got to do what we got to do. I promise you, and last to my sister Carmen.
That's what his preacher told him. Sometimes a man got to do what a man got to do. He warned his preacher that he was going to make this video.
Do this again. I promise you. I know you cringing. You didn't want me to do this. I'm sorry, sis. It was necessary. He's a sorry, fat piece of shit. A no of the worst order. That's who he is. And I want to make sure everybody knows that. And I said to Isaiah Thomas, and I said to Dan Le Batard, if you care anything about our friendship, don't ever call me about him again. I'm a very forgiving person. Not with him. I don't care what beef I had. I don't care how many of you out there that hate me, whatever former athletes, all this stuff. Man, please, I'm sorry. Because I certainly don't hate y'all. We might have our differences from time to time, but ain't never that. This is the exception. I hate this bastard. Not even, far more than a little bit. He is the worst human being any of you will ever meet. You get within a mile of his presence. Wrap your arms around yourself to protect your soul.
Wow.
He is Cain. He is a devil. The worst. That's all I have to say. Y'all have a nice day. Literally called my pastor and asked for his forgiveness and understanding in advance, because he's not going to recognize the person he's about to hear. Because this bastard is worth less than a damn cockroach. And one of the other things that I never do, I never attack my colleagues. I might disagree with something somebody says or does, and I might have an obligation to speak on it because it's in the news or whatever, but I don't speak against my colleagues. I never uttered the words fat bastard out of my mouth until a few months ago. So that means that the previous 9 years, you never heard me speak on him at all. But now it's necessary. You see, what he does is he's the one that puts himself in front of white folks. The white folks, not all white folks, not most white folks, but the white folks that dare we say may have a problem with black folks. He says, I'm your man. That's what he does. Ladies and gentlemen, as a black man, I often told y'all, I cannot imagine as a black man, knowing our history, anything worse than a white supremacist. That is until Jason Whitlock came along.
Oh.
He's worse than them.
Is that it? Damn. Jesse. That was powerful. So here's a guy that you saw, Stephen Smith, wrote a bestseller book. I think it's like 400,000 and counting. I think right now it's already sold 1 million. I don't know, but it's just a lot of books. He's very popular, very successful. No one's going to take that away from him. But this guy comes along and he's trying to bring journalism back. The problem is Jason Whitlock became a journalist at the White Boy News Network, which is Glenn Beck and Mark Levin. And a lot of people hate them. They hate them because they're on the Trump side. And they don't even, and Mark Levin don't like Trump and Glenn Beck does. But Jason Whitlock, like he said, he goes, you're worse than a white supremacist. But Jason Whitlock is saying, no, listen, I'm a journalist. This is my job. And it goes back and forth. And you're going to notice what you're seeing here, man. We saw this in our religion. You see it everywhere. But these are, and Stephen A. Smith brought up religion. His pastor told him a man has to do what he has to do. And I'm going to give his pastor a pass, because his pastor was probably dealing with divorces, marital problems, and stuff like that. And here, he's been hearing this story for a long time. He just told him, do what you got to do. I don't, you guys are grown adults and you're fighting like children. So I'll give it to him. But let's listen to, and this guy here is a born again Christian. God bless his soul. Let's listen.
Promise. Yesterday, we watched the show. We put out our wanted poster and about Stephen A. Smith, and we were looking for information about anybody that had information about Stephen A. Smith and his illustrious career at Winston-Salem State University. Could we ask for tips? Yeah, we put out a wanted poster asking for tips, and we have produced some fruit from our tips hotline. Thank you so much. We want to remind you all, you can send us tips. If you have information about Stephen Smith's illustrious career at Winston-Salem State, please email me at fearlessblazeshow@gmail.com. So we hunted down. Stephen A. told an incredible story about the 6-inch screw that he has in his knee. He's got these in his knee. Play the clip of Stephen A. talking about a 6-inch screw.
Did you see this, Jesse?
My bones cracked in half. My first year at Winston-Salem State. I still have those knee pains to this very day. Still in the knee that still has a 6-inch screw in it that I never took out. And in the left knee because I spent years overcompensating for the pain in the right knee. Yeah, I get you. Yeah, I've been to Stephen A. when I've tried to sell 2 inches and 6 inches. I remember those days. Stephen A. has one of these in his knee. And so we put out the tips hotline. and came up with the results here. We have found the doctor who performed the emergency kneecap replacement surgery on Stephen A. Smith at Wake Forest University. Installed. This is, and from what I understand, he had knee-gina surgery where they install a vagina in the knee. They call it a knee-gina. And Dr. Shelley, we discovered the doctor that did this surgery. Could you talk to us about this procedure?
Hello, Jason. Thank you for having me on. Yes, we did what's called a knee-gina. And as a Black woman, you know, we are the most educated in America. So, yes, this was, you know, a groundbreaking surgery. And a knee-gina, in order to have this 6-inch screw, it's a cavity first, a 6-inch cavity that has to be put in first. And with this knee-gina, it's something that, you know, doesn't have to be shaved or waxed. It lubricates itself so that, you know, you don't feel screwed. And so that's what's used, you know, when you have to have something like that put in when you completely break the bone. And I've done these surgeries all around. You know, you could put in I put in a wrist-gina. You can see the screw that I put into a wrist. And we do this. And as a Black woman, I just feel proud to be able to have done that for such a great Black man.
Have you done any work for any other high-profile celebrities? Is this a common thing, the knee-gina, the wrist-gina, or a lot of several celebrities having these procedures done?
You know, Jason, as an orthopedic surgeon, you know, we work with the musculoskeletal system, and that includes appendages. So, you know, I did Deion Sanders' toes. I did, you know, y'all call her Michelle, but Michelle Obama. I worked on her appendages, and I actually also worked on Caitlyn Jenner's appendage. Yes, so I do this all the time as a Black woman. And Jason, I'm so good as the most educated in the country that I could put this stethoscope on and listen to your lungs right through the screen because I'm a Black woman. Yes. So this is what I do. You know, this is a groundbreaking surgery. I know it sounds far-fetched, but yes, Stephen A. Smith has a knee-gina. You know, some people think he has a vagina as well, but I can definitely tell you I worked on the knee-gina for sure.
Wow. So that was a lot of video. I'm sorry, you know, but that sets up the stage. So here we have, and let's just say it, Stephen A. Smith, big-time Democrat, big-time Obama supporter, nothing wrong with it, fine. But he does not like to be criticized. And I'll give it to him. He has taken a lot of criticism, Stephen A. Smith, from a lot of people. Yeah, and he's done well. But on this particular one, he's being attacked by a professional reporter. And Jesse, what you see here is this happens in our religion too, because he's the one that brought up religion. And I'm gonna let you talk before I'm gonna go back and explain the religious aspect. But a lot of people lose their sense of humor, and I've noticed that people like Jason Whitlock on the religious side, on the political right, and others, they keep their sense of humor, and they illustrate the absurdity of lies by being absurd themselves.
Yeah.
What did you think of those two videos?
There's so much, but I want to divert a little bit, if you don't mind, on something Stephen A. Smith, because I fall on the side of Jason Whitlock a lot on the argument, but something Stephen A. Smith struck at me to be true. Now, if you're wrong in an argument, it doesn't mean you're wrong all the time. Stephen A. Smith said something very true that I believe a lot of professionals, everybody in all our daily work,
colleagues.
Yeah. Did you catch that?
Yeah.
I really believe true professionals, I really believe what Stephen A. Smith said to be true. I really believe when we're out there competing, in any industry, like if you're Ford, you're not beating up on Chevy. You beat them in the free market. If you're Budweiser, you're not beating up on Dos Equis, or vice versa in all the professions. Even in the local professions, the builders' professions, you see somebody doing inferior work, you don't go beat them up, you beat them. So how this escalated to this, I don't know. We're not privy to it. But that's just something that I got off the beaten path. But I have to agree with Stephen A. Smith when he said that. I do believe he is right on that. Mm-hmm.
And to Jason Whitlock's defense, he's saying, "Hey, I'm going to go. I'm going to call out these lies." Jason Whitlock is sad that Deion Sanders, who's a Christian, isn't on his team, but Stephen A. Smith is a Christian. Deion Sanders does not want. This is where I say Deion Sanders does not want to draw the line there in the sand. He wants to keep his relationship and his friendship with Stephen A. Smith. But Jason Whitlock, he has to draw the line in the sand. He says, I can't move forward when you're lying. And this is very important, Jesse, about not moving forward when you're lying. And I'm not picking sides. But the reason I'm doing this video is because I'm the Jehovah's Witness elder you wish you had. And Stephen A. Smith brought up the religious aspect. So let's just get it out in the open. In Matthew 5, Jesus says, but I say to you that whoever's angry with his brother, here we have two brothers that are angry, without a cause shall be in danger of the judgment. And whoever says to his brother, Raka, shall be in danger of the council. But whoever says, you fool, and this is where Stephen A. Smith, he went a little too far, and his pastor should have told him, don't get too close to the edge of the cliff because you shall be in danger of hellfire. Therefore, if you bring your gift to the altar and remember that your brother has something against you, leave your gift there before the altar and go your way. First be reconciled with your brother and then come and offer your gift. So the pastor should have told Stephen Smith, do not have this argument and with 1 or 2, 3 million views so everybody can hear your, airing out your grievances. Now 1, 2, 3 million people are in your argument. When Jesus laid the ground rule and says no, and his pastor, I'm going to give him a pass, was busy with other things. Now, the pastor should have also told him, haven't you heard that it was said an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth? But I tell you not to resist an evil person. Stephen A. Smith is calling him Cain, but whoever slaps you on your right cheek, turn the other to him also. You see? So what I'm trying to say here is that the ground rules Jesus is laying. I'll give you one. Love your enemies. But I say to you, love your enemies, right? You shall love your neighbor and hate your enemies. But I say to you, love your enemies and blessed are those who curse you. Do good to those who hate you and pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you, that you may be sons of the Father in heaven. So he makes the sun rise on evil and the good and sends rain on the just and on the unjust. So if Jason Whitlock is Cain, God still lets the sun rise over there and it still rains over there. That's what the pastor should have told Stephen A. Smith. Stephen A. Smith should have even just prayed out loud and says, Father, I have hate towards Jason Whitlock's, but Jesus set the ground rules and I'm stuck. I need your help. Now here's another one, and I don't want to go too much into this, but judge not that ye be judged. For with the judgment you judge, you will be judged, and with the measure you measure, it will be used back at you. And why do you look at the speck in your brother's eye, but not consider the plank in your own eye? And that's for Jason Whitlock. Because Jason Whitlock is very, very good at finding all of the wrong things that Stephen A. Smith is doing, all of his lies. But I'm going to show you a picture of somebody, of this guy. I got slow upload speed. Royce White used to be his best friend, and he was always on his show. He's a professional. He's a professional sportsman himself. Now he's a political pundit. He used to be with Jason Whitlock on the TV show. But what happened is on this guy's TV network, The Blaze, there's two white guys that own it, Glenn Beck and Mark Levin. Mark Levin, everybody knows, we don't like him. He's a neocon. He loves war. He's like John McCain. There's never a war that he never liked. And this guy calls him out on it. So when this guy started throwing just a couple of blows at Mark Levin, he got disfellowship like a Jehovah's Witness by this guy. That's why Matthew 7 is saying, so, hey, Jason, we can look at all of the bad of our brother, But we're not clean either, man. We just fellowship people. We shun people. Your backyard's not clean. So the point is that Jesus laid the ground rules, and we're all guilty, you and me. None of us can stand guiltless before Jesus. And I think, let me put this one here. I probably say this for later, but maybe I'll bring it up now. But yeah, let me bring this one up later. But that's one of the things that we can learn from this. This is happening in the JW world and the black world. How we're all fighting against each other, but in reality, I don't see any difference between I see very little difference between what Roy White, Jason Whitlock, and Stephen A. Smith. And for those of you that are watching who are not Jehovah's Witnesses, and you don't even know who these people are, it's all the same. It's all the same in the world. It's all the same. The only difference is that the names have changed. You just have to substitute them with the people that you know. It's the infighting. We have black on black infighting here. When in reality, what these three men have in common, Royce White, Stephen A. Smith, and Jason Whitlock have in common, is they all love Jesus Christ. And they all love their country. And they all love free speech.
And here's another curveball. A curveball is the third man who's injected himself in this conversation. Katt Williams is a former Jehovah's Witness, huh?
Yeah, well, I was going to get to him later, but yeah.
Yeah, but it's like in everything, like the Black Lives Matter movement. The founders were Jehovah's Witnesses. I mean, the disrespect for our nation, it was started by Jehovah's Witnesses. So we as a religion, in all the arguments of America, we're in it. You know how Jehovah's Witnesses, we're not political. Excuse my French, my ass, we're not political. We're the most political organization on the planet.
Mm-hmm.
We're the ones who tell people not to pledge allegiance to the flag, thereby causing division in our nation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so,
but
yeah, I just find it interesting. The third man in this equation is a former Jehovah's Witness or grew up as a Jehovah's Witness.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit later. But let's just go back to this, because I'm going to make this one last point before I jump into Katt Williams. And it's this guy right here. He gave the best advice to Stephen A. Smith.
Did you freeze up? Hey Gilbert, it looks like you got COVID. Did Gilbert do a Stephen A. Smith? Okay, just bear with us a second. Gilbert is melting down. Juan Doe. Okay. Okay, so Gilbert was talking about Stephen A. and the Jason Whitlock controversy. But he seems to have died. His connection seems to have died. So we'll wait a few minutes. On the chat room, seems to be any questions. Donna is going to sleep. Sherry, are you there? Any questions? Waiting on Jesse. Okay. Wow, Gilbert really melted down. And he melted down on his favorite subject. He's been talking to me all day about this Stephen A. Smith, Jason Whitlock, and Katt Williams interjecting himself into the conversation. Let's find out. Reaction time. To Gilbert.
Yeah, are we still live? It says live.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
what happened? What happened?
I don't know, but I paid my bill, that's for sure.
You just went dead.
Yeah. Hey,
you were melting.
so-
Wait, you were melting down mid-conversation, and you said you didn't want to talk about Katt Williams right away, and then you just went blank. What happened?
well, because I wanted to talk about this picture right here. And it has to do with and then we're gonna jump into Katt Williams.
Mm-hmm.
And it says, there it is. Why don't you talk about that while I get the file up?
You know what, Gilbert? I really think it's too controversial what I think about Rush Limbaugh. It's too controversial.
But
I
about that
believe, I know. And the things he said were so funny, it used to trigger people.
Mm-hmm.
And so the things that Katt Williams is saying, the things that Jason Whitlock are saying, in America 10 years ago, only one man said these things.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was the voice literally of 80 to 100 million Americans. He died right before COVID, a few days before COVID. So he was never allowed, the greatest American patriot of our lifetime, the 20th and 21st century, Rush Limbaugh, he wasn't allowed to see the globalist struggle. He wasn't allowed to see the pandemic. It was almost like Enoch. When this gentleman said something, he had the power to even confront Bill Clinton. He had the power to fight presidents. He had the power to even fight the United Nations. I really think even Dr. Fauci would have been powerless against this gentleman. So he used to say funny things that used to trigger everybody. And one of the things he said about this silly guy from Arizona named John McCain, he said, don't ever, if you're ever in Congress and you see a microphone and John McCain, don't get in the middle because he will run your ass over. Now, that is called hyperbole. That is called funny. That's called absurdity. But this kind of humor used to trigger people. A lot of people on the communist side, on the Democrat side, on the liberal side, they don't have a sense of humor.
That's the point.
Yeah. They even try to outlaw humor in college campuses. They even try to outlaw humor on YouTube pages, on Facebook pages. You say that every joke is a little revolution. You say little jokes, XJW, go to Facebook and join an XJW community and say a conservative joke against a liberal. Them fuckers will ban you.
Mm-hmm.
And the way they talk, they don't have a sense of humor.
This is what we're learning. That in all of these fights, it really does boil down to this mindset. Is that some people, they're of the left-minded, there's nothing wrong with that, but they get offended easily. They cry victim real easily. And the people, like Jason, like Jason Whitlock and others, they use comedy to attack their opponents.
Absurdity, hyperbole.
To now check this out. The reason I mention that is because he was getting advice, that kind of advice, but it wasn't as good as Rush Limbaugh's advice. But that's basically the advice that he had gotten from
some of the nastiest hit pieces that have been written about me, personal hit pieces, lie after lie. I don't respond to this nonsense. If you're a public figure, sadly, but it's part of it. It's part of it. Some people are going to hate you. That's how it goes. If you're a true pro, you brush it off and you move on. He's pulling a Meghan Markle, right? He's like, can't believe how outrageous, and like the ad hominem, attacks on you seems to be his defense. Like, Jason's a liar. None of what he says is true. Oh, and also he's I'll put it charitably, has a weight issue and isn't a nice man, but in much more colorful terms.
Okay, Jesse, comment on that.
You know what? Where did Megyn Kelly come from? We sure could have used her 6 years ago.
I know, but she's come around, and she gave him great advice. So basically, the advice is, in whether it's the Jehovah's Witness world or this world here, sometimes it's best to just give them the microphone and let them bury themselves.
Yeah, for example, it's true. And it goes to both sides of the argument, the fight.
Mhm.
You don't go attacking your colleague, Jace. You don't go around talking about your colleagues in a professional setting. On that, Stephen A. Smith is right. I agree 100% with him. But this gentleman said, wait. Before we can build on this is not hyperbole. You don't walk into a college basketball situation and shoot 17 threes. Not even the great Larry Bird does that. Not even the great Larry Bird does that. Not if you go to the NBA three-point shootout, nobody shoots 17 threes. Nobody does that. And so Jason Whitlock says, hey, before we go forward, this is not hyperbole. This is a resume enhancement. There's a difference.
And in that interview, he does talk about resume enhancements, how Stephen A. Smith has an enhanced resume that he paid for, and Stephen A. Smith doesn't deny it. But here's the thing. It's kind of like me, a Jehovah's Witness, right? Saying, hey, I'm not a Bible scholar, but then a real Bible scholar comes into the picture and he schools me. That's what's happening here. And I think Stephen A. Smith is right. Every man needs to know his limitation. He's just a reporter. And Whitlock says, no, I'm a professional. And rightfully so. He's a professional. What's that word again? What are they called? Not reporters, but journalists.
Mm-hmm.
And so they have to learn to respect each other's boundaries. Now, this is where we're going to the real meat and potatoes. Let's transfer.
For I am Costanza, Lord of the Idiots. But suddenly a new contender has emerged.
A new contender has emerged. And who's that new contender? It's uploading right now. Remove from studio. I don't have bad upload speeds. His name is Katt Williams. And Katt Williams, in this interview, you just got to look it up. Katt Williams, it's all over the internet. It probably has close to 100 million views, 48 million right now, and counting, going to hit 49. Look at the very bottom. It says 47. Right now, it's like close to 48 and a half. And then all of the other little bits and all the other commentaries, it's like close to over 100 million views, Jesse. This guy's taking the internet by storm. If you're Black and you haven't seen this video, you're living under a rock. This single-handedly beats everything that we study in religion, this video, because it's about religion and life. It's all the same. And I had to download this because every time I listen to it, I hear new things. Here's a man who's a sinner. He knows he's a sinner, but he talks about God all the time. He knows that there's no left and there's no right. There's only up and there's only down. He talks about there's only truth and there's only lie. There's only good and there's only evil. That's what I'm saying. Here we have all of these Black men and women. You guys are all on the same team. And he talks about that. We're gonna talk about it a little. But look right there, Jesse, 47 million views. And he talks about how his 30 years of life have prepared this man. I mean, he's gone Alex Jones on the Black community. You know how Alex Jones talks about the New World Order, the people manipulating us, the people trying to pit us once against another? This guy is bringing that message, not Alex Jones' way. He's bringing it to the Black world, because I don't like community because it's a bunch of communist lingo. And he even talks about the language, how language is weaponized. But Jesus used the word world, like the world, Satan, it belongs to, this world belongs to Satan. So in the Black world, having this guy and others that are telling us what we as ex-Jehovah's Witnesses already know, that they're trying to control us and divide us and kill us. They enjoy us killing each other more than just killing us outright. Now, before I go on this guy, did you want to say anything about him?
No.
Okay.
It's just very deep stuff. Yeah, no comment.
Okay, this is the on the very beginning of the video. Let me pull it. See if I can pull it up. Slides. I don't know why I didn't pull it up. No, remove. Check this out. You're gonna love this slide from my computer. Here it is. This is the quote really of the year 2024. You're never going to hear anything greater in this year than the words of Katt Williams. Winners are not allowed to allow losers to rewrite history. And that's the problem that we have right now. And even though we fail, like a preacher that I said about Jesus Christ, even though we fail to live up to those words in those Bible texts, this is very important too. We have to learn to use the words of Jesus Christ and apply them. But at some point, we can't allow losers to rewrite history. We can't allow losers to dictate our future. And that's what we're all about. How are we going to let these losers over here tell us how to live our lives? Now, having said that, Jesse, this is, I mean, here we go.
Katt, that you had a lot to get off your chest.
No.
You wanted to set the record straight.
Winners are not allowed to allow losers to rewrite history. I don't say any of these things if my name is not breached by these people on your platform.
It seems to me, Katt, that you had a lot to get off your chest.
No.
You wanted to set the record straight.
Winners are not allowed to allow losers to rewrite history. I don't say any of these things if my name is not breached by these people on your platform. If you give a liar a platform to lie, then I'm not being messy by saying, hold on, that never happened, it's untrue, and there are hundreds of witnesses for each thing I'm saying.
So let me ask you this.
Hey, there's too much.
Go ahead.
You could do a
It seems to me, Katt.
Of Katt Williams.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
And what's his name? Sean Sharp.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful conversation. Beautiful. This is America in essence.
Yes.
But let's go back to the screenshot of the quote.
The screenshot of the quote?
Screenshot of the quote. Listen, we're all patriots. We're patriots, American patriots. I'm not a Black American. I'm not a Mexican American. We are Americans. Okay. Katt Williams is skirting on the spirit of America here. He's skirting on it. He says winners are not allowed. First of all, winners don't allow. But this guy is super intelligent. He's wavelengths ahead of the normal person. The only thing I would disagree, it says winners are not allowed. No. Winners, we got to have the spirit of independence. Winners don't allow losers. Winners don't tread on me. Mm-hmm. We're Americans. You know, you think there's no Jesus? I'm not a preacher. I'm going to shove Jesus up your booty, dude. Don't be giving me that there's no Jesus crap. Go take your ponytail, go smoke your weed over there in the desert. But don't be telling me there's no Jesus. You're going to end Western civilization.
And don't tell me there's no Jesus. Don't tell me there's no Jesus and say that today is January 14, 2014, the year of our Lord. And then tell me there's no Jesus. And no, you're a loser and you're always going to be a loser and you need to get your head out of your butt.
Yeah. So that's the only thing I disagree with Katt Williams. That's the only thing I disagree with Katt Williams here when he says winners are not allowed. No. You're so close, brother. You're so close. Winners don't allow losers. So, yeah. But here's the thing. This is the beauty about being Americans. He's onto something. I'm just not in tune with his. You know how in the old days we used to tune into San Diego, the Mighty 690 out of San Diego, Yuma, and we used to tune our transistor radios when we wanted to listen to rock and roll. Yeah. That's it. I'm just not tuned into Cat Williams. I don't know what he means by that. Winners are not allowed. I don't know what he understands.
I think he means the same thing as you, but I understand what you're saying, because when you said winners don't, winners what?
Winners don't allow losers. Just
What
drop
that
that.
means,
Yeah.
when you say winners don't allow losers, that is action. That you now have to be in an action mode.
I am king. I
Yes.
am king. I'm a Christian. I'm an American. I will not regress to serfdom as my
Yeah.
atheist brothers have.
Correct. And this guy talks about this, because he talks about not selling his soul to the guys in Washington, in Hollywood, that he's not a sellout. And how he, in this interview, when he tells you that when he was 13 years old, his parents were Jehovah's Witnesses. He was at 6 years old, he was on the district conventions, and tens of thousands of people were watching him give demonstrations. So at a very young age, he knew, about the applause and everything, but he also knew that he had to leave the home. He wasn't a runaway kid. He left home at 13, knowing that Jesus left home at 13. And he knew that he couldn't live in his dad's house because dad was king of his castle. And if he wanted to live his own life and not the Jehovah's Witness life, he had to move on. So Katt Williams brought up Jehovah's Witnesses, so that's why we're doing this video. But Jesse, the brilliance is all over this video. Let me give you another clip.
But Jussie Smollett gonna keep lying until you say we don't believe you. Like, it's important in the checks and balances of the universe that liars not get to make complete narratives for themselves.
Are you not afraid about being blackballed again? These are some power people.
What do you mean again? These people are not powerful. Satan can't create anything. That includes blessings for his people.
Hold on.
That's why.
Hold on.
You know what the number one job of somebody that sold their soul?
There's too much freaking going on here. There's thousands.
Jesse, there's 3 hours of nonstop gold, and like Jesus says, pearls of wisdom coming out. It's 3 hours of nonstop pearls of wisdom.
And this is a perfect example of what's happening in America today. Here you have a human genius, this Katt Williams cat. And then you have a average mortal named Shannon Sharpe. Shannon Sharpe is like Sean Hannity. Every once in a while, Sean Hannity interviews people. I'm talking for the white people and the black people. It's happening everywhere. And Jehovah's Witnesses. Every once in a while, we run into somebody from another dimension, an intelligence from another dimension, who's spewing nothing but gold. And they want to move on to the next subject. Shannon Sharpe cannot build on what Katt Williams is saying. He's throwing pearls of wisdom at Shannon Sharpe. Shannon does not watch. Just rewind it.
Well, yeah, I did rewind it.
He
Jesse, the whole interview is Katt Williams throwing these pearls and gold nuggets at Sharpe, and he literally, physically throws himself on the side of the couch.
Yeah, he
bitch slaps him with these pearls of wisdom, because Rush Limbaugh, if he threw the pearls of wisdom, Sharpe would not listen. If Alex Jones, hold on, if Alex Jones did it, he's not going to listen. But now we have a man. We have a man like Katt Williams and others, and the black community, Jesse, is just being completely decimated, and I think they're being woken up.
Shannon Sharpe is like black Sean Hannity.
Yeah.
If freedom was sitting in front of your face, you wouldn't know it. If truth and justice was sitting, they can't acknowledge truth. He's like blind.
Well, no, it's not that, Jesse. It's I think it's what that basketball player for the Wizards, go along to get along. What's his name?
Kwame Brown.
Kwame Brown. Some people they love, and this guy addresses it, that some people in Hollywood and others, and even in the local churches and at work or wherever, it's all the same. We want to get along with each other. We want to go along to get along. And he's telling you we cannot allow for a lie to continue to grow. Let's look at it one more time.
But Jussie Smollett gonna keep lying until you say we don't believe you. Like it's important in the checks and balances of the universe that liars not get to make complete narratives for themselves.
Are you not afraid about being blackballed again? These are some power people.
What do you mean again? These
Gilbert,
people are
stop.
not powerful. Satan can't create.
Go ahead.
Shannon Sharp. This guy just threw a pearl at him. Shannon Sharp doesn't have the mental capacity to just say, man, brother, that's deep. That's true.
That's deep.
Look, you get a transgendered person.
Mm-hmm.
He's a freaking engineer now. He's used to making his own biology. Mm-hmm. And the city of Houston or the city of Dallas or the city of Albuquerque or the city of Phoenix hires him on a very important road project, bridge project, where millions of people go through every year. Do you want to drive on the road that transgendered person did the mathematic calculations? Think about it. He's already a person who under no pressure by himself decided to change his gender and said he was his gender. Imagine when he is pressured. Imagine when he is pressured. He's not allowed to. Nobody can pressure him on his gender. You're politically incorrect. You're going to be outcast. And now you put him in a position where he's doing calculations that millions of lives are at stake. And you can't question him. He's used to not receiving any questions. And that's what Katt Williams is saying. You can't allow the lie because it goes into a bigger
Was
lie.
it hot?
All right, wait a minute. I think you've got it backwards.
My George isn't clever enough to hatch a scheme like this.
You got that right.
What the hell does that mean?
That means whatever the hell you want it to mean.
You saying you want a piece of me?
I could drop you like a bag of dirt.
You want a piece of me? You got it!
That's what you're talking about, transgenderism. It means whatever the hell you want it to mean. And it's not going to just happen in your life. It's going to happen in mathematics. Math is whatever the hell you want it to mean. English is whatever the hell you want it to mean.
Because you're not allowed. You're not allowed to check their equations. You're not allowed to check their homework. You're not allowed to check how they came upon this idea that they're whatever genetics they are. And then you're going to put people's lives at risk. That's what Katt Williams is saying. In the great universe, in the great scheme of things, you have to call a lie a lie. You have to call a duck, a spade, everything.
This is getting heavy because then he's going to talk about Satan. What he says about Satan is and Satan's children here on earth.
No, wait. There is no Satan because the Jehovah's Witness, ex-Jehovah's Witness community taught us that there's no Mary and no Jesus. So don't be telling me
shit. They're full of shit, man. Yeah, whatever. Let's go.
Okay, go ahead.
These people are not powerful. Satan can't create anything. That includes blessings for his people. That's why, you know what the number one job of somebody that sold their soul in Hollywood is?
What?
Is to act like it didn't happen. They all do the same job. Why do you think Gary Owen can't cross over and he already white and the case? It's a cabal. It's a consortium. They rock with who they rock with and they don't with who they don't. But I'm not scared across from a superior team. Yeah, on paper, they're a better team.
Right.
They have all the assets and resources and we don't. But let us get on the line, boy. Because Shannon Sharp got to be a different person than that other person.
Absolutely.
And he always was. That doesn't change when I change teams. That remains the same. That's how a legacy
Oh, you don't hear that.
is built.
That's just bad.
So all of these
I don't know. Maybe I don't have it, but but right there he talks about Satan can't even give his children a blessing.
Wait.
Mm-hmm.
I did some research.
Mm-hmm.
Remember we were talking about the Constitution?
Yeah.
How do you find God in the preamble to the Constitution? And a person who's not spiritual, he says, no, separation of church and state. There is no God in the Constitution. But they don't understand that we Christians have a thing called winning. We win at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
Even when you kill us, we win. The word blessings, now he uses it that Satan can't build anything. He is so right. And this is why I keep saying Katt Williams is so close. He's so close to being a true patriot like Martin Luther King, like George Washington. And I got to be careful because a lot of people say, well, no, you don't want to put him. But he's so close to tapping into the same energy. One of the things I would say, if he could listen to this, it would be that the blessings, the reason Satan can't give blessings, the word blessings is a sacred word we ascribe to God, our Father who dwelleth in heaven. He gives the blessings. So when we're fathers or we're dads or moms, uncles, cousins, we can give gifts. But the word blessings is a unique word. It's an exceptional word for our Father who dwelleth in heaven. Blessings are not ascribed to Satan. They're not ascribed to the saints or to the apostles. It's a verb, action that emanates from the divine, our Father.
So help Katt Williams understand why the founding fathers chose the word blessing instead of God.
Because they want to inject God and still appease the secularists. Because they're crybabies and whiners, and they're always afraid that we're going to turn into a white supremacy, white Christian male society.
And that's what Katt Williams talks about. He talks about the losers. He talks about the people that are crybabies. He talked the last clip. You know, I didn't continue recording, but he talks about
the bitches in our midst.
Yeah, the bitches in our midst. And so the founding fathers use the word blessings, but a spiritual person knows. A fleshly person doesn't understand that blessings is reference to God, but a spiritual person does, because if we are property of Jesus Christ, Jesus bought us, right, with a ransom sacrifice. We hear his name. We hear him. We recognize him. So when we see the word blessings, we know it's from the divine. But our neighbor who's a perpetual bitch, who's always complaining and never grateful, who just eats the food, drinks the coffee, and never says thank you. How do you drink coffee and not say thank you, God? Because they're perpetual bitches. You see, and and they're ungrateful. And Dad would always tell us there's two types of people, grateful and ungrateful. And we don't want to fall in that category of being ungrateful, to think that we deserve everything. But check this out. Going back to politics, you're not going to probably like this bit, but I do have to agree with Katt on so many levels on this. Oh my goodness. Here it is. I instead of hit play, I hit here it is. Can you see it?
In real life.
No.
This is a different conversation. This is, would you rather go back with your ex, or would you rather go back with the person before them?
Both bad options.
Both bad options. Like, one guy can barely put his sentences together, and the other guy will put sentences together from whatever he's read or whoever told him. Like,
but how did we get here? How do we get here?
All division divides. There's no way around that. All division divides. Politics, even in the beginning when our Constitution was drawn up, the two parties was not what they had in mind.
No.
They always thought that it would be two main and another independent party. They always assumed the independent party would be just as strong as the others. A lot of that just didn't happen, and that's what I've learned more from comedy, is that Republicans laugh at the exact same thing that Democrats laugh at. As long as I'm talking to Democrats, I can make them laugh for 1 hour straight about what Republicans do. By the same token, I can go talk to Republicans for one whole hour and have them dying about the stuff that Democrats do. But at the end of the day, who does that? Yeah, your team got an offense and a defense. They're not supposed to be enemies. The enemy is the other side. Well, you can't do politics like that.
Nope.
Jesse, he's so close, but he did drink a little of the Kool-Aid. But that part at the end, hold on, right here. Let's do it.
Who does that? Yeah, your team got an offense and a defense. They're not supposed to be enemies. The enemy is the other side. Well, you can't do politics like that.
That's heavy stuff, you know, because he's equating, he's doing what Jesus is doing here, because Jesus would tell us things, but he would say, look at the birds, look at the trees. And even though Katt Williams, and God bless his soul for the very beginning, says that he's not an expert, he doesn't want to talk about it, but he does say, hey, we all know sports. You know sports, I know sports. Let's talk about sports. And he illustrates the sports with politics. So you got the defense and the offense, the Republicans and the Democrats. And instead of them going and making baskets and scoring touchdowns, they're killing each other. And that right there is gold, is pearls of wisdom. And I will say how I do disagree with him. I do disagree with him on when he said how we're in a point where, what did he say, that it's ugly, it's never been like this. A lot of people say that, but sorry about that. I was pulling this thing up. Jesus didn't tell us to have a defeatist attitude. And if Katt Williams would ever see this video, or forget that, if he would just ever look at the words of Jesus Christ, and says, when these things begin to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads. Your redemption draweth neareth. What? Draweth nigh, right? And he talks about the when you start seeing the signs, you know that the spring is here. So everything that Jesus said right there, Katt Williams could totally see, embrace. That no, Katt Williams, you were born for this moment in time. Alex Jones says that too. He was born for this moment in time. The problem is Alex Jones today had a hissy fit. He does that every once in a while. He'll start yelling and screaming, gets all pissed off. Like, no one's listening to me. A lot of people are listening to you. But you were born for this moment in time. And so that would be my message to like the Alex Jones, the Katt Williams, the Stephen Smiths, the Jason Whitlock. No. You were born for this moment in time.
Gilbert,
you should be happy that you're allowed to have such a prominent role in this fight.
Yeah, Katt Williams is privileged. Katt Williams is white privilege. Jason Whitlock is white privilege. Stephen A. Smith is white privilege.
How's that?
Because they're the beneficiaries. They're the stars. Look at us, two beaners in Arizona, Mexican-American immigrants. We're talking about them, black guys in a white country. They're the rich guys. We're poor guys sitting over here in Arizona, and we're pondering upon the words of these men. That's privilege. But let me tell you something. Let me just tell you something about Katt Williams. It's beautiful, everything he says. But let's say we lived in the second dimension. You and I lived in the second dimension. We lived in the width and the length.
Yeah.
Could we look upon the height if we lived in the second dimension?
No.
Okay. And for some reason, God grants us to take a peek, go to the mountaintop, and look at the third dimension. What would we see in the third dimension? We would see height. We would see the fruit on the orange trees. We would see the fruit on the olive trees, because we are given this gift of height. What would happen if we were granted the privilege of going into the fourth dimension? We would get to see things outside of this. What I'm saying here is we as humans limit ourselves to a dimension. When Katt Williams talks about Republicans and Democrats, he thinks he thinks it's like two teams in a football game. But the lover of freedom sees in the fourth dimension. He sees in the spirit realm. For example, we Republicans, we didn't raise your gas price. We Republicans didn't start the war in the Ukraine. We didn't abort your baby. We didn't ban speech on Facebook. We're not the ones putting transgender people in your bathroom. We're not the ones opening the border to every person, Tom, Dick, and Harry from the third world to come in here. We didn't do that.
Jesse,
Wait, let me finish this rant.
Go ahead.
George Washington, for example, so he knocks the Constitution and he says that they fall short. What I tell you is there is no perfection on earth. But we, the Americans, are as close to perfect you can in an imperfect world. George Washington, this white boy that everybody hates, white boy, he walked away from total power. People today, they die in their elected offices. Like that woman in California, what was her name? That Senator Boxer? No, what was that? Dianne Feinstein?
She died holding her power.
Or the United States Supreme Court the other day, that woman, what was her name? She died in her seat, Ruth Bader Ginsburg. These are power-hungry people. George Washington, this white boy, he did what no man had ever done.
Never.
Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. But he lives in the fourth dimension. He lives outside of the dimension. He doesn't see, he's not limited by length, width, and height of the third dimension. He understands that the Republican Party is just a tool he needed to free the slaves. Abraham Lincoln was not a Republican. He was an American who joined the Republican Party, formed the Republican Party to use as a tool to get a job done. Because George Washington told us not to get into politics, not to get into parties, because parties are full of shit.
Sectarianism, and that even he got that from the Sermon on the Mount in Matthew chapter 5.
Exactly, but it is the most perfect thing we have. We have nothing else. So we use the Republican Party as a tool to bring about freedom. That's something that Katt Williams, is why I say he's surfing. He's skirting freedom. And what we need to tell Katt Williams is come home. Come home. Don't look at us as white privileged white boys like you and Jason Whitlock and Stephen A. Smith are.
Correct.
We're just going to use the Republican Party as a tool. If I was alive in 1960, I would have been a Democrat under John F. Kennedy.
Yeah.
If I was alive in 1967, I would have campaigned with Bobby Kennedy. But I'm alive in 2024. And right now, we're not the ones cutting your pipeline. We're not the ones cutting your refrigerator. We're not the ones cutting your Freon. We're not the ones cutting the razor wire on the Rio Grande. We're not the ones cutting off genitals. So the Republican Party is just a tool. It's all it is. It's not a goddamn football game of the Pittsburgh Steelers versus it's not a game. It's just a tool freedom lovers use to get our freedom back. Just like if you were in prison and you got to pick the gate to get everybody out. That's all the Republican Party is. That's all it is. We got to get this pick. We're going to pick a lock. And all us fuckers are going to run out of prison. That's all it is. But some people see the party as power. We got to be like George Washington and be willing to give away the party. We want to go home. And so we tell these white privileged guys like Jason Whitlock, like Stephen A. Smith, like Katt Williams, hey, come home, guys. You guys are close. You guys are close. Come home to freedom.
It's never been, we've never had it so good because it is true what my dad says. There's two types of people in this world, grateful and ungrateful. When you're grateful, you realize, Jesse, I look at that picture this weekend, when we were in Santa Ana, and, I saw my grandfather, the picture of him. I have it so good compared to what he went through. We have it great. And that's what we're trying to tell Katt Williams and all of these other people. We have so much to be thankful for. We got it good.
Gilbert, if the Chinese communists coming over the border take over our country, what do you think they'll do to Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton and Katt Williams? What do you think they'll do to them?
Well, the Chinese hate black people, and everybody knows it. Everybody who knows the Chinese don't like black people. It's just common knowledge, but people don't want to hear it. They do view you as a subhuman.
Yeah.
They hate Americans, but they hate blacks more.
Yeah.
Now check this out.
Yeah.
And my whole thing to Jason A. Smith and Katt Williams is say, hey, listen, these two guys here, look, the civil wrong leaders, Jesse Jackson and Al Sharpton, they were around during Martin Luther King. You know who also was around when Martin Luther King got shot, Jesse? Duke Ellington. Count Basie was alive. Ray Charles was alive. There was a lot of great black music. Jesse, there's no better music in the 50s, and he can even say that in the 60s, that was coming out of America that didn't have a black band, black singer, or black, like anything. They ruled. The black musicians were doing to the music world what they're doing to the NBA. They were just amazing.
Gilbert.
And you need to tell me that we went from Duke Ellington, we went from Count Basie, we went from Ray Charles to whatever those names that you have today, and you mean to tell me that when you listen to them side by side, that you think one is better than the other? You think that the 2024 crap is better than that? No, these are the civil wrong leaders. They are the ones that brought it. They're the ones. And you could also say that they sold out, because Katt Williams is talking in that interview about how people sell their soul. They sell out. And Stephen A. Smith talks about that, about selling out. And I just don't think Stephen A. Smith is right when he says that Jason Whitlock sold out. I really think that Stephen A. Smith hates the Blaze so much because the Blaze has two people, Glenn Beck, Mark Levin, and one of them likes Trump.
Okay,
look,
I'm with you. I
ahead.
really believe Stephen A. Smith hates Republicans. I just think that.
Yeah.
He's a Democrat. He's a political hack. Okay, but
Yeah.
that said, the essence of the argument of Stephen A. Smith, with Jason Whitlock saying that, look, dude, you hit 17 threes on a walk-in for a basketball scholarship. Let's go back to what started it.
Yeah.
Do two friends have to kill each other over this? Let's say Stephen A. was lying or he's exaggerating the truth. What if he hit 3 threes in 17 tries?
Mm-hmm.
Was it worth all this fighting over it? I don't know. This is the thing. Could Jason Whitlock have just let it go?
Yes. But then there's that video of Katt Williams says that, with Jesse Smollett, he's going to keep lying if you don't call him out on it.
Okay. But there's ways to call people out. You could say, you know what? I disagree with this story, but he is my brother. He is my brother. Stephen A. Smith, I would have handled it this way. Hey, Stephen A., you wrote this in your book. I don't think it's true. I honor your work. I love your work. I love your comedy. But hitting 370, man, you're doing more than Larry Bird. Come on, dude. It's hard to believe that. I think that would have been a better way to handle it.
Well, I will answer this. In the very beginning of the show, we talked about the how Jesus set the standard with the Bible in Matthew 5, 6, and 7 that I quote, and also Mark. So we know that Jesus set the standard. But at the very end of Jesus' life, he lost his cool. He turned over everything. So I don't think, and this is why I give everybody a pass. I give Katt Williams, Stephen, and Jason a pass. And I don't think anybody's wrong here. Sometimes, Stephen's right. His pastor says a man has to do what a man's got to do. Jesus had to do what he had to do. And doing, and that I just, bow my head. I bow my head and I wish them well.
Okay, now let's tie this in. Let's tie this in because Katt Williams brought in religion. Stephen A. brought in religion. Okay, yes. We apostates. And Annabelle, our sister, talked about it. She goes, why can't Gilbert just shut his pie hole? Why can't Gilbert just leave the Jehovah's Witnesses? Why can't he just leave? Why does he have to bring it up? So you, in a sense, are like Jason Whitlock. We apostates are like Jason Whitlock. We can't just leave the Jehovah's Witnesses.
Can we all get along?
Can we get along?
That's my sister.
Can we stop making it horrible for the older people and the kids?
Okay, that's my sister Annabelle right there, and she told me, "Can't Gilbert just shut up? Why does he have to talk against Jehovah and the Watchtower? Can't he just leave?" And I think the apostates say we're like Jason Whitlock. No, we can't leave. There's spilt milk, and they go, "Well, there's no use crying over spilt milk." And then they say, "There is when the milk is still on the ground." So there's two different points of view here, and we got to fight it out, man. Mm-hmm. And so in the Black community, we got to just let it go. Stephen A. and Jason Whitlock just have to fight. There's nothing we can do. The apostates, we have to fight it out. There's nothing the Christians, we have to fight it out with the atheists. There's nothing we can do. Since the beginning of time, this is what men do. We argue these things. The good thing is that we're American, and we can argue it in the arena of ideas. In other countries and in different times, we would get a spear, arrow, or like Cain, we would kill our brother. But here's the difference. Stephen A. Smith called him Cain. No, Cain killed Abel. Jason Whitlock did not kill. He used words. Yeah. He called him out.
This is why if you're an American, you want to keep Jesus in America, because if we were talking bad about Islam, then somebody would wage holy jihad on us and kill us in our house. But because we have Jesus in our country, we can just fight it out on YouTube.
Exactly. So at the end of the day, it's just a friendly fire. It's just a friendly fight. Let it go.
Those are the lessons those are the lessons we can be learned. And also the lessons that we're learning is that Katt Williams and other people are saying is that, hey, there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes that you don't know about. And that's why the censorship issue is so strong right now, because the cat is getting out of the bag, and the cat is getting out of the bag, and Katt, yeah.
And you're a big proponent of that saying. I know I don't ascribe it to you, but I know that you repeat it. That there's no such thing as coincidences.
No, that's George Norrie.
I know, but you're a big proponent of it, and you keep mentioning it. And I really think there's that in a lot of the great arguments of our lifetime, Jehovah's Witnesses are always involved. Now, here's the thing. We never get the blame and we never get the credit, but Jehovah's Witnesses are involved in everything. Like the flag salute. Like in the Second World War, like Dwight David Eisenhower being a Jehovah's Witness. Or the flag salute. And then the nation state and the globalists, the big struggle of our lifetime. Mm-hmm. Isn't it interesting that the Jehovah's Witnesses were at the center of that fight? Are we going to love our nation? Or are we going to repudiate the nation? These are great things.
Yeah.
It's no coincidence. And then apart from this Katt Williams cat, if he was a Jehovah's Witness, now did he mention Jehovah's Witnesses by name or just describe
them? One time, he was always trying to avoid it. And in another interview he did a couple of days later, he just said a Christian sect. But he was good friends with Prince, and he knew Michael Jackson very well. So there's the behind the scenes, and that's what Katt Williams talks about. He has been given 30 years of behind the scenes. It's like this guy, Katt Williams, knows where the dead bodies are buried. He talks about his virgin behind, his virgin rectum, that everything he did in his life, he says he did it. So when he got to Hollywood and started working, he didn't have to sell out. He didn't have to get raped to get the job. He was already going in as a successful man. And that's kind of giving you, he's insinuating, that what a lot of people have sold out on that. So what I'm saying is that he talks about there's a lot of behind the scenes of the dead bodies type, stories. So what he knows about the Jehovah's Witnesses, Prince and Michael Jackson and George Benson and others, I don't think he's going to talk about it. but he knows way more than we can ever imagine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Real good.
Yeah. Well, we went too long. 1:15. What did you think about this video, Jesse? Did you feel good about it? I mean, I like it. I just thought this Katt Williams, Stephen A. Smith, and Jason Whitlock was a godsend. You know, it's yeah, there's a lot of things happening in the world right now. This is also very important because
yeah, and you know what? I like it for this sense. A lot of Jehovah's Witnesses, ex-Jehovah's Witnesses, and current Jehovah's Witnesses, they don't understand that they're involved in politics. They're kept ignorant how they're involved in politics and the New World Order and everything. But a lot of the teachings are super hyper political, but yet we're taught that no, we're apolitical. For example, the flag salute. It's an extremely political. It's extremely political teaching. The hating of your nation state is an extremely political. The advocating for a one world government, it's an extremely political. But you think you're apolitical. So we're involved in this fight, whether you like it or not. You know, so when we see our brothers fighting and arguing, I think it's a good thing. It's a good thing. Sometimes you get the Rodney King type question. Can't we all get along? And I think time and circumstances dictating to us, no, we can't all get along. So embrace your argument, do your research, and get out there and defend your side. You know, look at Abraham Lincoln. Look at Abraham Lincoln. The passion that he had. Imagine if you served in the cabinet, the war cabinet of Abraham Lincoln, and everybody was willing to quit. Well, if we win this victory, we can give up the Emancipation Proclamation. What do you think he did on these people? He opened a can of whoop-ass in his cabinet. For the struggle of freedom is something different that this generation doesn't know. For example, the struggle of freedom of the founding fathers, they left Europe. They disfellowshipped themselves from Europe. And they came and they froze their ass off on Plymouth Rock. And then later we do the French Indian Wars. And then later we do the American Revolutionary War. Every generation of Americans has to put blood in. But this generation of immigrants, they're getting everything free. Imagine how ungrateful the future generations of Americans are going to be. Because they're going to be transformed, like Barack Obama said. We're just days away from fundamentally transforming America. You haven't seen the future. Americans are going to want everything for free.
Yeah.
So it's important to do your research and defend freedom on every kitchen table in America.
Now, what lessons could be learned? You know, what you're saying just reminded me, there's this guy named Patrick Bet David, you know, from the Valuetainment series on YouTube. And he talks about how, so he's from Iran, right? I think he's Iranian, American, right? But Iranian descent. And he has I guess it's a comedian on, but he's you know, Palestinian, you know, he's Muslim. But then the guy sitting next to him in the round table is Jewish. And they're going at it. Insults and everything, but they're going at it. Hard facts, everything, insults, just bad. And it's like 15 minutes of it's hard on the ears. But you know what Patrick Bet David said? He goes, I love this. I love it. And he's the guy at the start of the show. And he wanted to remind people that, so like say for example, Trump and Vivek just go body slamming each other left and right, and they just start beating the crap out of each other. You have to have that mentality when you see men fight in the arena of ideas. When you see Stephen Smith and Jason Whitlock and Katt, and we're not encouraging it. We're not encouraging men to fight. But when men fight for what they believe in, and they do it under the First Amendment of the United States, that's the great lesson that can be learned here.
Exactly.
Because
if you go with Joe Biden, Barack Obama, or Bill Clinton, all you're going to get is "Sí se puede." Yes, we can. They don't argue things out. You just shut up, contribute, and we'll give you a seat of power.
Yeah, those guys won't go toe to toe. So that's what I think we can learn from this whole thing.
Yeah, I think so too. It's going to be fun. It's a fun ride. And you know what? I hate to say it. I sound like a wussy. I sell like a sellout, but I agree with Stephen A. Smith. Strong argument about the professionalism, of calling out your colleagues. Could have been done behind closed doors.
Yeah. No, I know. And but hold on. To Stephen, I kind of feel a little bit for Jason, but to Stephen A. Smith, I got to give it to him. And this is also a good lesson for all of us. The lesson is that Stephen A. Smith, and I didn't show it to you because it was the very end. You know what he said? This is the last I'll ever talk about this. But he did say that, and I think I was going to mention that too, Isaiah Thomas. He told Isaiah Thomas, if you value our friendship, don't you ever.
I didn't like that.
I know, but he's telling you that he doesn't want to talk about this no more.
I didn't like that because we're Americans at the end of the day.
Yes.
We have the right to talk about any goddamn thing we want to talk about.
I know, but at least I'm going to give it to him because at least he's saying, hey, these are my boundaries. I agree with you. I'm on that side. And again, so what do we take out of all of this? Oh, Isaiah Thomas. We mentioned he talks about Deion Sanders, Stephen A. Smith, Katt, Jason. All of these guys that are in this fight are being mentioned. Names are being thrown around. They all have one thing in common, Jesse. But not one. They have many. They're black. They love Jesus. They love God. They love the country. And there are more things that unite us than divide us. But and I'm not trying to be a Pollyanna on that, but united we stand, divided we fall has to always be our mantra.
You know what? I love Martin Luther King so much that I'm tired of this black shit.
Yeah.
To me, Stephen A. Smith is not black. To me, Carlos Santana is not a Mexican American. I'm not a Mexican American. We got to get past this shit. We're Americans. That's it. That's it. Get over it.
Okay.
I'm
over it.
All right.
I'm over it.
Okay.
Hey, so we're gonna call it a night.
Yep, that's it.
Okay, then let's call it a night.
Okay, Gilbert. Good night.
I love somebody, and I love you all very, very much. Good night, and God bless you.